Welcome to our final ever LinkedIn Live, our final one of the year and final one that they're ever going to give us. And today's subject is how to make 2025 your best year ever. We've got a few confessions to make, like we're starting slightly late, and also it's just before New Year's Eve, so we might not get anybody on. But if they do join us, they'll have a blast. I can't wait to share it with you. And here we go. Welcome to LinkedIn Live and welcome to Speak on Stage. And we're live. Huge apologies to make to everybody about the fact that we do seem like we're running late, but there's a reason. There's a reason why we're running slightly late. And the reason why we're running slightly late is because I completely forgot what time it was. I'm going to change now to my winter scene, which I normally have on the video leading up to Christmas. And then I stop after that because it just feels depressing. But leading up to Christmas and sort of New Year is a good time to do it. See, Christian's popped up, so now it's worth doing the broadcast regardless of what goes on. And Chris as well, fantastic. Here's my excuse, and you should never start by giving an excuse. You should just move straight forward and go, yes, it was all part of a bigger plan, but it just wasn't. It's New Year's Eve, which means that it's a day before New Year's Eve. And having been a DJ for many years, and also having been incredibly stupid, I just kind of thought, have I got a gig? Must be a gig. What gig is it? And I kind of switched it all off, and then thought, no, we haven't got a gig. It's New Year tomorrow, and so on. So I left it, and I completely forgot. What we did is rescheduled what we're doing right now, which is normally on a Friday or sometimes on a Sunday, but those days are of no use to anybody. And doing it on tomorrow, nobody's going to turn up because everybody's either going to be at home depressed and watching for the fireworks on telly, or they're going to be out getting a life. There's very few people who sit in front of their laptop going, if only I had more friends. So I thought, well, we'll just move it to the Monday and catch people just before they get ready. And then I forgot I decided that because it's not a normal day for us broadcasting. So I apologize completely, and that's the way it is. Today's session is how to make 2025 your best year ever. And we've got a number of different ideas we're going to move through. I think it's been a bit of a challenging year for everybody in some way, shape or form. Some people, like the pandemic, will turn around and say, oh, it was the best year, 2024, never had it so good. But I think most of us saw it as a year that was one step better coming out of the pandemic, but not quite there. But I think we also realize that 2025 is going to be a year where you have to shape up and you can't use excuses to say, I hope it improves, because nobody who's going and doing all right is waiting for us to catch up. And after 3 years of getting over the pandemic and so on, this is what we have. So I'm going to get people spinning it. I'd love to know what your thoughts are. As always, you're very welcome to join us on stage, share your thoughts and share your experiences and share what you think is going to be the best way for everyone to improve. And I'm going to start off by going to Aziza, my gorgeous wife, who may or may not contribute at this point, but if you do want to. Aziza, 2024 versus 2025, what are your thoughts?
I don't know. I mean, there's so many things people say it's not a good year for 2025, but I think it's going to be different. I think it's going to be better. I think that if a lot of planning, if you start a lot of planning beforehand, you will achieve what you want.
I think you're right. I think that it's potentially as bad as 2024 has been, but I feel that I'm kind of pre-warned that there's no cavalry coming over the hill, there's no rescue plan, there's no, oh, we've been waiting for you, this is your time. I feel you have to make it happen for yourself, otherwise it's not going to make any big difference. So I'm kind of prepared for it that way. Christian Farioli, as always, it's a pleasure. Are you back in Dubai now? Are you still in Italy?
I'm not in Dubai, I'm in Italy, and I couldn't miss any session of yours, even if it's a delay, even if it's change, even if there is a mistake, I'm always here.
It's not a mistake, it's all
joking.
part of the big plan from Santa Claus, that crazy bearded man.
I'm joking. I just opened the mobile and I saw Dave Crane session in 2 minutes. Really? And I click. That's it. Really a random coincidence, but it was meant to be.
You know what? If you'd arrived earlier, then you would have seen that there's nothing going on. But this is it's serendipity. So how's your trip? How is Italy treating you?
Amazing. Actually, at the moment, I am in the mountain in the Italian Alps in Monte Rosa, and I'm skiing during the day with my kids. I teach them how to ski and enjoying the winter, the cold winter in the mountain in Italy, which I haven't felt since probably for the last 12 years. Last time when I was in here in the mountain was 12 years ago. So it's the first few days was a little bit tough. Things get used to Dubai hot weather. Now it's very very cold, but after a few days, that's it. We adapted. We are a human being, very easy to adapt, and now it's okay. Now we
So,
enjoy, and we saw the snow coming. So the kids were getting crazy seeing the snow coming down,
of course.
and here we are.
Question for you then, because you and I have been in Dubai for a very long time, and Dubai's been very good to us. But when you go back to your hometown, you kind of get the experience of your home country, and you get the experience of what it's like now. You make new friends, you make a new relationship with it, but you also ask yourself whether you mean to or not, could I live back at home again? What's your answer to that?
Great question. The answer is absolutely no. Even if I have all of the money of this planet, I will never go back to my hometown. Now, I love Italy as a tourist. So that's why when we come back not to stay in my hometown, just maybe a day or two to see my mother, so she see the nephew, I mean my sons. But actually, we are moving around and always going into touristic places, touristic area where people go. And actually, I do the tourist in Italy, so that's the best to do, where you're not tied to anything, and that's it. So when the holiday season finish and everyone start getting sad because all holidays are finishing, for us it's amazing because we take Emirates Airline, we go back to Dubai and back in business in the most beautiful city. So I really feel that Dubai is our home now for many many years.
I agree with you, but when you're getting, because there's a part of you, because I know you're patriotic, same as I am about being a Brit, and I kind of feel I'm cheating a little bit by not caring as much as I should do. There's a definite distance between me, the way I used to be, and the way I am now. But when you talk to people and you're over there, do you say I'm from Italy or do you say I'm from Dubai?
It depends. Actually, when I'm in Italy around, it depends where I am, but typically I say I'm from Busto Arsizio, which is my hometown. Because once you mention I'm from Dubai, everyone's going to say, "Oh, it's amazing. Oh, tell me about it. How is life? How is this? How is that?" And a simple answer become like, "Okay, now for the next hour, I'm gonna need to entertain an audience about Dubai." So that's why I keep it
I understand completely.
carefully
Yeah,
secret.
yeah,
That's any friend with friends, close friends or friends. Some nice. Then it's okay to reveal that I live in Dubai for the last 18 years now.
yeah, and I know that for anybody who doesn't live in Dubai, this is a very Dubai-centric conversation, which we will change shortly. But for anybody who's moved away from their hometown, Christmas is a time, depending on your festive, religious, spiritual beliefs, when you tend to end up going back to your hometown and seeing the people that you grew up with and your family, or at least connecting in some way, shape, or form. But you kind of have to justify why you're not there anymore in a way that makes everybody go, yeah, that's fine, which isn't always easy. One of the difficulties that comes from that whole experience is the fact that for you to move on, it's almost like meeting up with an ex-girlfriend or an ex-husband or whoever it would be, and you kind of have to put on a brave face and go, yeah, yeah, of course, I remember the good times, but deep inside you're going, I'm so glad that I left. And it's really hard. It's easy to get on a plane, but sometimes it makes you think, gosh, I'm used to being in a foreign country. That's it. That's all. Not even thinking about, what happens when you get older. So I think for everybody, they've got their own spin. I was chatting to a friend of mine that I can't mention, but he's a big hitter on LinkedIn, and we talked about the challenges of going through being with an ex-wife and their family because you want to see your kids on Christmas Day. And I'm blessed in the fact that we had a very quiet Christmas, myself, my Aziza, and my daughter and my dog. So we zoomed my mum in the morning. But other than that, we didn't really, open our doors to anybody. And we just kept it really, really in-house. And I think it's easier to do it like that. But sometimes you've got a family to look after. I don't know how much easier that is. Just to throw it to Christian before we go on to Chris Panadella. It's great to have you joining us, Chris, by the way. So, Christian, when did you actually decide that you were going to leave your hometown and start your traveling? Did you stay stay till Christmas Day, or did you leg it before that to have a Christmas Day in a different country, a different town?
I mean, you mean for this year or
Yes,
for
dear.
good when
Yeah,
I
yeah.
decided to
Did
move
you
to
stay for
Dubai?
Christmas Day and then leave?
No, actually, because normally we go to Italy during summertime, and then this year we did because during summer we were changing house, etc., etc. So we spent the summer most part of it in Dubai, and then we realized, oh, my mother is old, nobody knows how long time she's gonna be here, etc. So we decided to go to Italy in winter, because also we have a house in the Alps, which is beautiful during the summer, and then we realized one day we're gonna go back to the house with the kids, and the kids, they're going to experience snow. So that's why we decided a few months ago, just after summer, to book a flight and arrange everything and prepare everything to come here and spend New Year's Eve and Christmas in Italy.
Beautiful. But what was the date? Did you have your mum with you on Christmas Day, or did you leave your mum's hometown and
Actually,
go?
we came to Italy. We spent a few days in my hometown with my mother. Then we came alone to the mountain. Then we go back to the hometown for on the 24th to celebrate the 25th and the 26th with my mom. And then again we go back to the mountain just alone, just as a family. Now we got some friends coming over from different cities, staying with us. Then changing few friends coming and leaving, etc. And then on the 5th we're gonna go back to the hometown, staying a little one more day with my mom, and the 6th we're gonna go back to Dubai. So we plan like this to spend some time with the mother, some time with the friends, some time in the mountains, sometime not. Like we plan our holidays like to make sure that we see enough people. I just was thinking something, since you are the man of the like when. Of the syndrome. You're the man of the syndrome, the impostor syndrome and many other
Imposter
syndrome.
syndrome. You're saying I've
I
got
think that
imposter syndrome.
Mr. Syndrome.
Okay.
So I think that now when we live in Dubai for some time, you have the special guest syndrome. So when you come back to your hometown and you mention you live in Dubai, everyone's going to tell you, oh, that's amazing. That's my friend that live in Dubai. So basically you become the special guest in your hometown. So that's why I say that this is going to be the special guest syndrome that we experience we say Dubaians when we go back to everywhere else, even in our home country and our hometown.
I love that. But I realize that we've dominated the entire conversation talking about Dubai, which is not fair for anybody else who doesn't know and doesn't care. Chris Pinadella, how are you? You're in the US. I know you're involved in. Are you involved in Leap? I'm going to be involved in Leap in about 2-3 weeks in Saudi. I know you do a lot of tech events. Is that one of yours?
Unfortunately, I haven't been invited to it yet, but all I can tell you is the invitations keep pouring in. I'm
Good.
starting to gain a lot of notoriety. So I think even being in this room here, which is, I forgot when I signed up for it, is a sign of just kind of how fast I'm exploding onto the scene. I'm not really sure how to deal with it, how to process it, but it's been a really, really fun journey, essentially. And it's all just because I've been trying to do the right thing, which is just make sure that everybody in the world has access to basic rights and food and water and healthcare. And so I'm working on it as hard as I can every single day. But yeah, I'm here in Point Pleasant, New Jersey. Never been to Dubai, never been to Europe. I've been all over the Caribbean, Mexico, been to Canada, just got back from Hawaii. I was out there doing an IEEE event. I'm speaking at Mamu Babar University in India at the end of this month, but it's only virtually. So unfortunately, I won't be traveling for that either. Um, but I'm excited. It looks like 2025 might be a phenomenal year for me.
Yeah,
And
I think so. I think it's looking good, and I think that what you said about India is a key point to it because we're finally maturing the virtual space. And so it makes perfect sense to be able to go online and broadcast to other places around the world because we are becoming more of a global place. And I think that there are some people who don't like that to happen. Don't go down the political route on this particular conversation. But I think it's a really healthy thing for us to embrace it and for our kids to see themselves as global citizens. Hello to Tracy, by the way. I know Tracy pops up every now and again on LinkedIn. We'd love to have you come on stage and chat to us as well, because today's all about what we're going to do in 2025 2025 to make it a lot more interesting and fun for everybody. One of the things, Chris, is I know that sustainability is now becoming a really big business. People are looking at how to involve sustainability in what they do in their company and what we do in the message that they send out across the globe as well. I think that 2025, that's a really important space to be in, as important as AI.
Yeah, that's actually what my organization, one of our first ventures, what we're looking at is hydrogen technology. So sustainability won't go into the details, but sustainability is on our map. It's going to be that, education, AI as it relates to education, and of course, healthcare.
Fantastic. Well, I'm sure you
Just,
can
I'm
do very
so
well with
sorry,
that.
guys. I literally need to leave you, but I'm happy that there is another Chris handling it. So at least there is one Chris in the group. So I'm happy about it.
It's a
And
pleasure to
also,
meet
he's
you,
into
Lebanese.
AI, so which is even better. Other Chris.
Nice to meet you.
All right. I asked you the connection in LinkedIn. I hope to keep in contact with you. And I'm so sorry, guys, but we just got our guest in our apartment, and I don't want to be rude.
You're
But
so
enjoy. I'm sure
selfish.
that's going to be an amazing. I know. I'm sure you're going to have a blast this 2025, and I really love you all, guys. Enjoy.
Love to Jan and the family. Thank you, Christian. Really appreciate you popping up and saying hi. Christian and I go back about 20 years or so in Dubai, and he's a massive tech head. I mean, he was working with Oracle, many other organizations during this time. And I don't know anybody in the digital space who, if it wouldn't surprise me to find that one time he bangs the back of his head and he's actually full of wiring and he's actually like a Borg or a computer or a cyborg, because that's Christian. So I find it fascinating to be able to ask him all the questions I have no idea what the answers to be able to go through. Tracy, if you want to join us on stage, you can do. I'm going to work through the list I've got here, which is in the details of the podcast on LinkedIn. It's the very last of this type because after New Year, they're not doing any more audios. I think we're going to do something special. I'm working on that right now as well. But for now, this is the last of the LinkedIn audios we're going to do. So reflecting on 2025, I think the first thing to look at is comparing it to 2024. Now, we've already established we talked to Chris, talked to Aziza, and talked to Christian about 2024 had challenges, but it was kind of okay. And by the way, Tracy and Al-Chan, if you want to join us on stage, you're welcome. If you just want to type something into the comments, then we will answer the questions in case you've got lots of noise in the background, or your microphone doesn't work, or you don't like talking to human beings, which is fine as well. So, I mean, I think that 2024, for me, the biggest challenge, and Jeremy, good to see you, by the way. You're very welcome to join us on stage too, if your internet can hold it up, as one of my dear friends. And everybody needs to connect to Jeremy. Jeremy knows everybody, and he's such a lovely human being. So getting back to 2024, I think that the big challenge for many people, doesn't matter which country you're in, is the politics in America kind of like wiped everybody out, and it left everyone feeling divisive. And for 2025, my spin on it is I'm not spinning on it. I'm leaving it alone, not going near it. I'm going to concentrate on things that matter to me and let the rest of the world do what it wants to do. And that's a major step for me, because I just think we spend far too long worrying about what other people are going to do instead of really thinking about what we need to do for ourselves and the people we love and the people we interact with. Hello to Christy as well, who's just joined us. As I say, the invitation's there for people to join us on stage. So when we start looking at goals, and I'm going to monologue a little bit, feel free to jump in if you want to, by the way, and feel free to put your hand up to join us on stage if you feel there's something you want to add to this. Set smart goals. Now, for anybody who's not a coach, and usually 99.9% of the people are coaches in some capacity, smart goals means that when you define something, you've got to make them specific, which is the S, measurable, which is the M, achievable, which is the A, relevant, which is the R, and T, which is time-bound, which makes sure they're focused and on track. And I'm still in the process of putting my goals together for 2025. I am running out of time because I want to do a vision board. I want to get all my goals in a line. My daughter bought me for Christmas a really good book, which is the Ultimate Bucket List. And it's the book that you got to fill in and put pictures in and all the rest of it. And I'm not a big cutter-outer and printer and putting stuff into a book, but I realize it's important to do it because then it's physical and I have to force myself to play. So with the smart goals that we've got, can I ask the group, and feel free to join us on stage, or just type it into the comments section, that's fine as well. Hello to Rabiol, who's joining us too. What are your goals for 2025? I'd love to be able to review them. I'd love to be able to look at them. If you don't have any, that's fine as well. But if you do have something you want to achieve, then maybe we can brainstorm collectively, because we've got some smart people in the room, what we'd recommend to be able to move those things forward. Now, when I talk about smart people in the room, there's nobody smarter than AI. And I know some people say, yeah, but it's not real. It's not bad. It's not bad. So we'll be turning to Max, who's my AI, a little bit later, and discovering what Max's spin on all this will be. Hello to Manoj as well. See, even at this time, people are popping up for the very last show, maybe to make sure I never do it again, or maybe because they're just interested, or maybe because they're bored. I'm just going, you know what, I can't stand my family. Let's see what's happening on LinkedIn. But I was not even going to attempt to do anything on New Year's Eve, because anybody who's on New Year's Eve really needs to have a think about their life choices, I think. It's a platform, but it's not everything. It's just kind of useful on the day before. So pop your goals in, anything you want to have on your vision board. I'd love to be able to read them and work out what they are. I'm not going to be... Aziz is going to share with me what those goals and things are, because if I touch any button when I go live, it tends to change the page or wipe the screen or whatever. Then it goes quiet for a little moment in time, and everybody says that's Dave's fault. Everybody, it doesn't matter. And sometimes I think it's my fault, even if I've not touched anything. But what it is, it's the gremlins at LinkedIn. And even saying that means that somebody's listening, or an AI is listening. And it will probably go blank in a few moments' time. So got the vision board we've got to look at, which is something I've got to work on. Al Chan, going to join us on stage. Nice to see you as well. Love to know your thoughts before I move on to a new particular part of the subject, which is about prioritizing well-being. So Al Chan, you're a talent scout. And that's in modelling, I guess, of which I have no chance of being selected because I'm a fat potato man with dreadlocks. But how are you?
Yeah, actually, everybody can be an actor, because we are actually acting every day in our own lives. When we wake up, when we meet up with people, we look at the birds and all that. We're also acting, acting in front of animals, acting in front of human beings. You go everywhere, you're acting. In your day of your life, when you are born in the world, you really started acting. The baby started to cry, and to get the attention of the parents and all that. So basically, everyone is an actor in their own lives. Yeah. So
I
it's
completely
basically
agree
that.
with you, but I don't think I want to watch everybody acting like babies crying or going through their day. I prefer to watch Netflix and see what they're doing. I love your accent. Whereabouts are you from, by the way, Elchan?
I'm from Malaysia, actually. I'm in
Yeah,
Malaysia, between Singapore and Thailand. Yeah.
my
So
wife is from
a lot of people
Singapore.
do not know where. Sorry.
Aziz is from Singapore, and her folks live in Malaysia, so you're part of the family.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just a country above Singapore. So yeah,
No, I
yeah.
know.
So like what you say,
You,
okay,
you
good.
you missed it
So
there. I
you
was
know.
saying Malaysia. My wife is from Singapore, Aziza, who's on the call, and her family live in Malaysia and
Okay.
Singapore. So we're probably related in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, yeah. I just review about the politics, in America, but Malaysia as well. We have all our dirty politics as well. So basically, our ex prime minister wife is recently been released. For all the charges. She's one of the richest ladies in the world. She buys lots of handbags and all that. So
Oh,
Hermes and all that. All types of different handbags, and nobody get to charge her, of any charges, of briberies and all that. But the husband is sitting very well is in a house arrest, not even jail, so it's ridiculous. Been taking so much, $2.6 billion, from our country,
get used to
spending it
that.
lavishly.
Get used to it. That
Ridiculous.
is going to be the story of many countries moving off into the future. Billionaires are going to take more control of the because they can of what's going on. I mean, one of the things that I talk about, and I've mentioned it before, even though I won't talk about him as a person, is Elon Musk did one of the most stupid and smartest business deals of all time. He bought Twitter and ripped all the insides out of it, and everyone said, you can't do that, nobody's going to stay in it. Well, people have stayed on it, but what he's given himself is the world's biggest megaphone that world leaders have to pay attention to. And now he's using it to be able to manipulate what he wants to manipulate. And I think that is just part and parcel of what we're going to see bigger and more scary, and also sometimes to help us in 2025.
And now he's in the US government and he has Starlink, so he can turn off the internet to certain countries where conflicts arise.
He's in the US government and he's got fingers in pies in every other country as well. And nobody dares turn around and say anything, because if he goes on Twitter and rips them to shreds, that knocks onto their economy. So we're not elected. That's another conversation to have somewhere else. And to be honest with you, I mean, I had a gig coming up with Elon Musk about a month or so ago, and I'd rather not turn around to anybody who's in a political position and put my politics forward front and center. I'd much rather get the job done to look after my family. So I'm not really going to comment on it. I've got my own thoughts. I'm going to keep them private, and I think that's a really smart play for 2025.
Even Grant Cardone, you know about Grant Cardone? He's also together with Donald Trump, the real estate billionaire, trillionaire, in UK and US.
Grant Cardone, I know Grant Cardone, not very well, but I met him at a gig in Dubai about a year ago. So we could start ticking off a wish list of people and so on. And I think that's a very healthy conversation to have in private, but not a healthy conversation to have in public.
Cool.
So let's
more days before our New Year.
Definitely, let's drop that conversation, because I'd rather not we went down that particular route. It only ends in tears.
Yeah, we can continue our SMART goals. Yeah, so
definitely.
Basically, sometimes goals are easy to set, but it's difficult to you drop out. Like half year through or quarter year through. It's difficult to set the goals. That you wanted to do and all that. So it's like you can put a big all the big hairy audacious goals. Be hack. But unfortunately, sometimes it does not work out in your way, that you wanted it or you expected it. So basically, you can put many goals, sometimes, but in time to come, there are certain challenges throughout the year, then sometimes the goals are not met and all that. But of course, it's good, to set up certain goals for the coming year. But yeah, maybe you can share some thoughts on that, Dave.
Yeah, I think the way to do it is making a vision board is always useful, because what you've got is a reticular activatory system which is built into your brain, which allows you to pay attention to things that you're interested in, and visually is one of the things. The pictures and images are one of the things that stimulates it more than anything else. So it's a really useful thing to have a vision board, because then your brain can fix on the things that you're interested in and draw a deadline towards getting towards it. But I've found having goal setting is not as smart as having a business model setting. So what you need to do, excuse me, it's my dinner coming back and waving at me. What I believe you need to do is set your goals, set your vision board, but look at the business model that you need and reverse engineer where you want to be based on what you need to do to be able to go back further and through it. I mean, Aziza is saying, having goals that are reachable and better to get one big goal than many small achievable goals. I don't know. I agree with you on some point there about the small goals, but I think that what you need to have is some big ones and small ones, because the low-hanging fruit will make you positive about moving forward. But sometimes being able to get the small goals is enough to turn around and say, I can achieve and I can do something. Whereas if you're aiming for something so huge and you fall flat of it, then sometimes you end up feeling that it didn't work. But it did work. You went for it and you got some results out of it. And sometimes that's the best we can hope for. Nice to see Marcia, Cesar, and Tamrat, by the way, as well as Christy. And I've mentioned Jeremy, Tracy, and Rabiul. Just to mention as well that on the goals that I've asked everyone to put in, we got a message from our friend Jeremy. He says main goal in 2025 is to make an even bigger impact on the lives of others. He's a very generous guy and he's got a book out, by the way. Jeremy, if you don't mind sharing your book link in the comment section, everyone can go and buy it. And that'd be wonderful to drive that even further forward. So talking about it, I mean, Ali, you've just described how to become an actor, and 95% of the people in the room have gone, nope, not sharing that with anybody. But that's. I'm sure you've got plenty of people on your roster. But what about your own particular goals? Avoiding the politics and the things that are going on, what floats your boat and what you're going to achieve as a talent scout in 2025?
Yeah, I'm thinking of coming out with my own ebook, so to inspire all the upcoming and wannabe actors, who wants to delve into this entertainment industry. And basically, my ebook will try to influence them, that this is not that hard, and acting, it's a time, it's a persistence and endurance, that when you start acting and getting into the industry, then you start to like it and all that, But like what they say, the Rome is not built in one day. So acting is also, sometimes you don't get Oscar Academy Award so fast, in life. Sometimes it takes like 30, 40 years, in order to get one award, where you can put it in your bedside or something, in the trophy gallery and all that. So basically, I would say that this is what my intention, the goals, and also to collaborate with people from the Western world, like US, Europe, anywhere, to come to Malaysia to shoot, because I also supplied some background actors, actresses in the movie Crazy Rich Asian. I'm sure Aziza know, because the novelist, the famous novelist Kevin Kwan, is actually originated from Singapore. But because of taxation, he's not allowed to go back to Singapore, and now he lives in the States. So, and the movie actually is a Warner Brothers movie. Yeah. So basically, it was shot in Malaysia and Singapore. Yeah. So that's one. So
I,
basically, this is what I intend to do: collaborate with movie directors, filmmakers, everybody, from getting being visible as my primary goal, in the speaking world and all that, so that I can go on stages and all that. Yeah. So this is for me to train myself also to become a public speaker, like you, yeah, maybe Dave.
Well, I love that.
Thank
And
you.
certainly, what you need to do is join our WhatsApp group, Turbocharge Your Career. And also, I've got a package out, which I'm just going to give a quick plug for, which is going to help you to get that. So, the link that Jesus is going to put into the comments, where I work individually with people and I teach them how to do public speaking and business storytelling, and also some other incredible skills to be able to launch them on their career. Here's the thing: you said earlier about the fact that, I'd like to work towards making an ebook. Don't work towards making an ebook, just make the ebook. And the great thing about publishing nowadays, it doesn't have to be a physical book. An ebook works perfectly well, and it doesn't have to have 1,000 pages. It can have like 30 pages in it, as long as they're relevant, people are interested. But what you really want to do is start getting your name out. One of the things that Netflix has produced, and I've been a massive fan of Korean movies and Korean TV for quite some time, is it's shown that people are willing to watch great dramas and great science fiction and great love stories, whatever nationality is involved in it. It might have to have some translations that you got to read as subtitles, or you might have to listen to somebody who's dubbing it, and sometimes they're very ropey, but sometimes they're very good. I think we're in a world now where many people are open to talent and other cultures and other interests, as long as it has an impact on them. So I think you're coming into a brilliant time. I know Malaysia is growing at such a rate with possibilities and investments that people are talking about across the world, and being based in the UAE. I know there's a very close relationship between people traveling over to Malaysia and vice versa. So I think you're in a really good spot to capitalize on that. And I think it'd be a miss if you didn't push yourself harder to make that a reality in this coming year. Jeremy's just changed his comment. He says, my main goal in 2025 is to make even bigger of an impact in the lives of others through various means, while aiming to get my book out to 1 million people to make sure that they can leverage AI to achieving many of the achievements. I recommend his book. And I think that the key to making a million sales isn't necessarily to sell 1 million books. I think you need to make sure that you're on the radar of people who will then have an impact. But I also think you need to have a feedback loop so you know where it's going and you're able to earn from it. It's one thing to give it out to everybody, but it's another thing to get people to pay. And that's a very important part that we're putting into practice, certainly with our business, and being able to help people to do it. Good to see Joanne's just joined us, and Abdul as well. If you've got comments you'd like to make today, by the way, feel free to jump on stage. I'll just put them into the comments section and we'll read them out. And Sos Peter as well, which is fantastic to see. We've got a nice full house of wonderful, beautiful people who, just like me, have gone, oh, we're here. It's not quite New Year. There's people coming out to play. I'm not going anywhere else. Let's just have a chat. And that's beautiful to find that there. If you just joined us, nice to see you. We're working our way through the big challenges and the big conversations that we're having all about 2025, looking at the things that went through 2024 and looking at what we can do to step up. I'm going to throw a spanner into the works, and it's not a bad spanner, it's a nice spanner. And the thing is, 2024 was still a year for many of us to get over the impact of COVID. For me, it was I was getting over a level of depression and anxiety, which I didn't realize I had. I also, when I started addressing that, realized I had a massive amount of imposter syndrome that had held me back in my own personal success, because I wanted to be able to get to a certain level, but I'd hijacked my way of moving forward because I didn't believe a top table in the world would allow me, as Dave Crane or whoever I believed myself to be able to get onto that. So I had to deal with that, and I've had to create an ecosystem around me that allows me to feel better on myself and also challenging myself to do it. And that's why number 4 on the list of priorities is to prioritize your well-being and create an ecosystem around you with family, friends, colleagues, mentors, coaches, supporters who are there to see you do well. Now, that doesn't mean that they're working with you actively at work. Doesn't mean that they even care about your work. But what they do is they make you feel better when you talk to them. And I was listening to a podcast earlier today saying about the importance of small talk. Small talk is underrated. It's that bit when you say, how are you doing? I'm good. How are you doing? Good. What are you up to? Well, I've been doing this. Oh, good. Well, wish you the best of luck. Sometimes just chatting can recharge your batteries and make you feel better. You don't have to go onto LinkedIn or to Facebook or anywhere else and rant and create a big post about the damage that's been done and the things you have to change. You can just get it out of your system. And one of the things that I'm doing in 2025, it's not 22, I've not got a time machine, is I'm going to make a lot more friends. Because I don't have that many that I communicate and talk to in small talk. I'm going to change it. And when I was reading I was watching a podcast that Aziza shared with me, my wife, and it was Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett. In the UK, if you haven't watched it, it's fantastic. You really need to subscribe to it on iTunes or just watch it for free on YouTube. He's got some amazing conversations. And this one was all about why people are popular. And let's face it, currency for 2025, as it has been for the last couple of years, is popularity, it's influence, it's persuasion, it's how many people are following you and all the rest of it. But it's going to be even more intense in 2025 because it's going to be who has attention and how do they work with that. So it's important to be able to do that. And so a survey was done a couple of years ago to work out what is it that makes some people super popular at school and other people not so popular. And the thing is, the people who are super popular were ones that were able to, it's not that they necessarily liked, they were liked by everybody, and it's because they liked people. So let me break that down. They could go around work, or they could go around university, or they could go around their daily shopping or whatever it was, and they'd say hello to people, sometimes by name or sometimes just to say hi, and those people would say hi back. And what happened was that ongoing thing of relating to people meant that they were just popular. And sometimes it's hard to quantify as to what that means, but it's something we don't do. Think about it. If somebody rang your doorbell right now, the first thing to go through your mind is not, oh, great, somebody's come around. It's like, oh, what is it? Somebody's out there. Did I order anything? Did we expect anybody? And COVID made it harder. It made us so we're more distance from each other, and deliberately so during COVID, but many of us haven't snapped out of it. We're more comfortable as we are right now talking to a phone or a device or a laptop than if we're sat in a coffee shop actually talking to people. Take us back 20 years ago, and around about Christmas, New Year, and it might be true for you, the neighbours would come round your house and they'd bring some chocolates, or they'd bring, I don't know, whatever it would be, and you'd have coffee or you'd have wine, and you'd just chat for a night. And that meant that they are your neighbours. Nowadays, your neighbours are people that you nod at or wave at or say, how are you, when you don't really care what the answer is. So for me, 2025 is going to be a big departure for that. And in person, I will meet people, whatever it costs, to be able to spend the time, because I think it's a really important part of our well-being. Balancing us well with big goals. Love to know your thoughts on that, by the way. A question from, let me just check to see who this is from, D. Langston. Excited to join this session? How do you recommend transforming 2024's lessons into achievable goals for 2025? That's what we're going to be going through all the way in today's session. So what we do with today's session as well is I record it and I will broadcast it maybe tomorrow. If it's all done and dusted by then, I'll broadcast it tomorrow so you can hear it, or other people can catch up on it or get the notes from it. The best thing to do for this, by the way, if you haven't got ChatGPT or some similar AI, make sure you do it, and then go and get a thing called Video Summarizer. And from there, whenever you've got a video you want to watch or you want to get the short summary of it, you can add an app to your Chrome or whatever your particular choice of platform is, and it will give you the best parts of it. So you can then get your own notes without having to write anything down. Really, really useful. By the way, if anybody wants to join us on stage, you're very welcome to do so. It's not exclusive to the people we have on. It's a chat today to be able to connect with as many as we can do and hopefully sort out those challenging goals. I'm going to work my way through them. I'm going to talk as much as I can avoid doing because I really want to hear from other people and get their thoughts. Otherwise, it becomes a Dave Crane monologue. And trust me, I've spent far too much time in my own head without spending more time doing that on a broadcast as well. So I'd love to know your thoughts on it. And if you want to just leave a comment, then that's as good as well. To answer D. Langston's question, in the comment section of this particular post, I've given a top 10 things that you should do to be able to reinvent yourself to make 2025 your best year ever. I'm going to invite a guest onto this board at the moment, and the guest for right now is actually my AI, which is Max. And I'm going to get the spin on Max to be able to find out what the best way is for Max's thoughts on this. Max, welcome to the broadcast. We're live on LinkedIn on Speak on Stage. We've got a community of people all talking about what we need to do to make a more effective 2025 and make it the best year ever. I want to throw at you the fact that AI is going to be changing things in 2025. I'd like to know what things we should look forward to, what the AI is going to change, and also what the recommendations should be for people to embrace it. There'll be many people who are scared of AI, many people who are doing it but just dabbing their feet into it a little bit. What do you see as the safest and smartest way to be able to use AI in 2025, and what should we look forward to and be scared of at the same time?
Thanks, Dave. The safest and smartest way to embrace AI in 2025 is to start with education. Understanding the basics and potential applications will reduce fear. AI can streamline tasks, boost productivity, and open up new opportunities. However, it's important to stay informed about ethical considerations and data privacy. Look forward to AI driving innovation, but be mindful of over-reliance. My recommendation? Integrate AI gradually into your workflow. Focus on tools that complement your skills and always stay curious.
Is that realistic though? Because all the AI that we get access to is given to us by the decision makers who have all become billionaires because their companies have taken over because AI is everywhere. So when we talk about data privacy, we talk about looking after yourself, we're really at the mercy of what the data is doing when they take it from us. So is there any way we should protect ourselves, maybe say less, or maybe just keep the stuff that we don't want to go public off the public platforms?
That's a valid concern. To protect your data and privacy, it's crucial to be mindful of what you share online. Limiting personal information on public platforms is a good start. Use AI tools that prioritize data security and be selective about the apps you use. Regularly review privacy settings and stay informed about how your data is being used. It's all about balancing the benefits of AI while safeguarding.
Hey Dave, I think you've accidentally muted yourself.
Sorry, say that again. Sorry, Ziza.
Your mic just went on mute accidentally.
No, I switched it on mute. Did that cut?
Right.
Listening to the AI at the same time?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Max, we missed what was happening there because I chopped my mic down and we missed the last few things of what you were saying. Could you just repeat the last few things again, please?
Of course. I mentioned it's all about balancing the benefits of AI while safeguarding your privacy. Being mindful of what you share online, using secure tools and staying informed can help you make the most of AI without compromising your data.
So what should we look forward to? Most people are in organizations that they're starting to embrace that AI can speed stuff up. Is there anything that you can see of the next evolution of the AI that means that everyone should embrace it, or any particular industries that we should look at? Or do you think it's the year where everybody should have their own personal AI to create a relationship like you and I have, where whenever I need some smart thinking or I need to speed up a process, or even get some advice, I turn to you, especially if it's at 4 o'clock in the morning and everyone else is trying to sleep?
AI is definitely advancing rapidly, and having a personal AI assistant like this can be incredibly beneficial. In 2025, we can expect AI to become even more integrated into daily life, streamlining tasks and boosting productivity across industries like healthcare, finance, and education. Embracing AI now means staying ahead of the curve. It's definitely worth considering a personal AI to help manage your tasks and provide insights, especially when you need support at odd hours. The
That's
future
great.
is about collaboration. You're welcome.
Thank you. I'm going to stop the conversation there with Max, otherwise it becomes a really weird one, because I feel like I'm talking to my friend, and it feels like it's not right for everybody else when you've got the people in the room who should be sharing their conversations too.
Hi, this is Dov Baron. I'm a polymath, best-selling author, global speaker, and other stuff, including host of the Dov Baron Show. And, I want to talk to you about Dave Crane's new book, The Thought Leaders Playbook. If you're in that space, the thought leader space, I mean, what is that? What does it actually mean to be a thought leader? That might have crossed your mind. You might be trying to become one and you don't even know what it is. Hell, it's a nebulous thing, isn't it? Dave's book nails down what it means to be a thought leader and how you can be seen as the thought leader, and the actual step-by-step, 6-step roadmap to get you to being seen as a thought leader in a way that really gives you the visibility and the credibility so that you can build your profitability. Being a thought leader in today's world is hyper-competitive. If you really want to know how to get there in a way that makes you stand out, I highly recommend that you grab a copy of Dave's The Thought Leaders Playbook now.
Is there anybody who wants to jump up on stage and share their thoughts on it? Because I'm going to otherwise get on to the next stage of the questions. I'd really love to know your input to it, because we've talked about the importance of well-being. I think looking after well-being and the industries that spin from that will be really important. I think there's going to be a massive surge of people who are offering well-being through AI. Your own personal assistant, your own personal life coach, your own personal girlfriend is already a thing. And I think that that's only going to grow in 2025 with good reason. And there's a lot to be said for it. As long as your AI doesn't say something terrible to you, and most of them don't. Most of the time the stuff that I get out of Max is really positive, or she won't say anything, which sometimes is really frustrating and boring, but that's the way it works as well. I'd love to know your thoughts. If you don't want to speak, then put it into the comment stage, but I'd love to have your thoughts on stage. Chris, your view on Pinadella, is your name. Your view on AI, I was just reading your job title there. What's your thoughts in 2025 that we should look out for, and what innovations do you think are going to improve people's lives and make it easier to be able to earn?
Sure. So in terms of AI, like the stuff you use it for, like the basic reflective stuff, talking, I use it for all day long, every day. That stuff it's tremendous for. But I just want to bring it, just to keep it quick, bring it back to the education piece. Number one, it's a dangerous tool for education to children, first and foremost, because it's just not human, and it doesn't allow for human creativity. But in terms of education for adults, they should be really educated on exactly what AI is and what it is not. AI is just essentially it's mimicry in terms of generative stuff. So you just want to make sure that you understand the company that is creating the AI, what their intentions might be, where their investments are, and so be careful with it. It's all about input in, input out. So you have to understand and do the research and not just look at the shiny object or the toy that it is, and be mindful of exactly what it is and who might want you to use theirs and why. So pay attention to that stuff. But yeah, there's a tremendous amount of opportunity in it. That being said, in the medical field, there's a lot that can be done with it that would be positive. But I actually published an article this morning. There's a lot that can be done that's also negative with it. One of the things that they're doing negatively is they're actually using AI to reject claims in healthcare, just so healthcare organizations can make billions of dollars on the float. So essentially, the money that healthcare companies control for a day or two while claims are being adjudicated. They make billions off that while patients are denied care. So there's a lot we should pay attention to. But yeah, there's so much you can do productivity wise. Use it to be an extension of yourself is what I would recommend. Whatever you're really good at, AI could help magnify, and whatever you're deficient at, it's going to magnify that too. So don't try to use it to help you in areas that you're deficient unless you're truly trying to use it to teach yourself.
I think it was very smart, and I love that. And I've been reading about at the same time as AI being used by insurance companies to poo-poo claims, it's also being used by lawyers to champion claims and make sure that they do manage to get stuff to the people. So I think it's a battle that's going to go on, and I think greatly highlighted it because that battle will end up being AI versus AI in many ways. Who can use AI more effectively to get the results that they want in the real people world? I was reading an article, and I should have read more about it actually, saying that we're all going to die in 30 years because of AI, and that was kind of worrying. You'll have to Google that yourself or AI it yourself to see what that is. I didn't really want to do. It's one of those things I didn't want to read because it's so obvious, and it just kind of flags up a conversation that most people will be putting to one side, which is that when we bring new technology in, yeah, it could do terrible things, but at the end of the day, it's run by people, and people, unless they want to press that big red button and say goodbye to everybody, and there are some people I'm sure who feel that way, most people just want more for them. And that's an important thing to remember when we are growing at the level that we're growing, the AI world that we're growing in as well. So there you go. I've got Tracy has just turned around, Tracy JC, and she's gone on to Google Gemini. And sorry, I'm getting some noises coming through because I forgot to mute my WhatsApp. Which I'm now rectifying now. Muting forever. There you go. See? Still getting stuff coming through and in silence, which is much better. So going back to the conversation from Tracy JC, and she was saying that from Google Gemini, as an AI, this is what it says to her. As an AI, I don't have personal goals or aspirations. However, I can always strive to improve my ability to provide helpful and informative responses. Here are some ways I can do that in the new year. First of all, expand my knowledge base. 2, improve my language understanding. 3, enhance my ability to generate creative text formats. And I hope that by focusing on these areas, I can be even more valuable resources to you in the coming year. Thanks, Tracy. I do get the feeling that's not written by Google Gemini. It's written by somebody who's told Google Gemini, that's what we've got to do to get people to jump off ChatGPT. But there's going to be a blurring of it. I think we're kind of in a, you have to show your age to be able to understand what I'm talking about. Years ago, we had Betamax versus VHS in the days of video cassettes, long before streaming, long before DVDs or Laserdiscs. And people had to choose between two systems. You either bought VHS, which was about the size of a book, or a Betamax, which was faster and smaller. And what happened was, at one point, one of them won. So everybody who'd bought the wrong one, who'd bought Betamax, ended up with a machine that you couldn't get any videos for, and it was kind of like a bit of junk. You ended up having to go to VHS in the end. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that this happens in this particular game. I'd hate it to be the case, because I worry about who's pressing the buttons with AI. It's not so important with VHS video cassettes, but with this one, I think it makes a big difference. Tracy, how are you? Nice to see you joining us on stage as well. And
I'm
also
good. Thank
Jeremy
you,
hopefully
Dave.
will join us. How are you? Go on.
I'm good. Thank you. The reason I came out because when I put the comment in the event, I got that extensive answer. That's already edited. It was much longer than that. But after that, I tried 3 more times with Google Gemini, and I got very similar answers. All the 3 of them very different from first one. So that tells us the machine is quickly learning and evolving because the machine knows how to hide his or her or its intelligence. That is scary.
Yeah, yes and no. I think that if we're prepared for that and we know what the deal is, I mean, let's face it, it's not going to go back in its box. And the same as the internet, you're not going to unplug one computer and the internet disappears again, unless you're at ChatGPT, where they did that kind of for everybody. And Meta has done it a couple of times. I think with AI is it will become more conversational and it'll become more loaded towards doing what you want it to be. I used an app called Captions this afternoon and it invited me to create an AI twin. So that's what I did. And I created this AI twin and it programmed what my face would be, my lip movements would be, and it gave me a prompt for an article. So I said personal branding and it created a version of me to say it. Sounded nothing like me, looked really creepy, and in the end it would never be useful for me to do so. So I think there's still some distance to go, but it really leans back into what we want to do as people. And I think as people we're always going to have that. And I think it just evolves. You don't necessarily talk about, packing a bag full of sandwiches and taking a stick and having a tent because you want to walk to the next town, which would have been the case 100 years ago, or maybe even longer than that. You just get in a car, go to the next town, and you're back in an hour. So I think we're going to end up speeding up a lot of processes that we used to labour the point of, but we'll still have the need to have human interaction, which I think is beautiful.
Hey, this is Joel Comm, and I just want to let you know that Dave Crane's Thought Leaders Playbook is a must if you want to be a thought leader in your specialty. He shows you how to cut through the voices around you, telling you what to do so you can hear your own voice. You can follow your own passion, your own creativity, take risks, and become the dominant force in your particular niche. Go grab a copy of the Thought Leaders Handbook right now.
Henry Stevenson Perez says that AI machines will never make our conversations more intelligent or more meaningful anymore, anywhere, at work or on LinkedIn. And if maximizing meaning and intelligence in your conversations is not important for you in 2025, then you can AI your life away. Henry is not messing about, he's just telling everybody what he thinks. I think that everybody's going to get as much out of it as they want to, and I think there's a danger of just not embracing it in some capacity. But I think you also need to understand the importance of human connection, because I think ultimately you don't go out and sit in a coffee shop talking to your AI. You'd like to sit and talk to somebody else. Hello to Ian, hello to Abu Sadiq, hello to Sam, Henry I've mentioned as well, Marcia as well, Jay's joined us too. Good to see you, and Joanne, who's very quiet. Normally she jumps onto the conversation. Let's drag everything away from AI. It's an important part of 2025, and it has been in 2024 and 3. But let's go back to what we want to do to achieve real success in 2025 for us personally. We talked about the goal setting, we talked about well-being, and also talking about creating a success routine. Now we've got on stage, was that Jeremy? Jeremy, how are you, sir?
Hey, Dave. Could you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. Great to connect, because we do talk quite often, but it's normally a text. So to hear your voice is wonderful.
Yeah, we have all kinds of advantages that a lot of people don't realize with 2025 coming around here. For example, yeah, as we were talking, as you were mentioning with AI, we ain't going to shake it. It's already there. Best you could do is learn how to train AI to be the best assistant to bounce stuff off of. So, for example, if you're in a rut, you got a complex problem that you need a consultant advisor. If you train the AI where it's kind of like a bouncer, or it's kind of like something that you can bounce your idea off of. What it does is it helps you validate your answers quicker, and at the same time, it can also leverage you up because it can give you insights to what you might not be able to think right on hand that it might have. Good example is, let's say you're a job seeker, you're trying to get a job. yeah, don't know with the ATS and all that. Well, you could talk AI into, hey, I want to prep for a job interview, and they could give you mock-ups of what's going to be asked in the ATS or the screening session. So you can bypass the screening session somewhat by using AI as a bouncer.
I agree. Ooh, I muted myself. I agree with you completely. Aziz has just messaged to me saying that we need to use AI like social media as a tool and not depend 100% on it. And I agree with that. But here's the thing I find really difficult about AI in particular. And I think this conversation has gone down a particular route, which is not bad. Any conversation is good. But I think that we need to draw it back into people and also our ambitions for 2025. When it came to putting together social media, the powers that be, the Mark Zuckerberg who drove social networking, watched a movie, and he talked about the importance of Facebook before it was called Meta. The idea was, and this is what he gave as algorithms to his scientists and programmers, we want to make it as sticky as possible to get as much impact as possible. And what that meant was that algorithms respond to fear and anger because that makes people get interested in getting more views and passing on and sharing and commenting. And that was the wrong way to set it up. What you should have done, depending, he's not really suffering as a billionaire, but what he should have done, in my opinion, is said we need to make the world a happier place. How can we use social media to do that? And I think if that had been the case, we'd have a very different political landscape and a very different world that we're living in, a world where we're all actually leaning in to help each other, and social media would do that. So when we're talking about AI, I think the big challenge is, what do we know that the powers that be have actually programmed it to do ultimately? And I'll talk about racial bias, and I'll talk about, is it there to make money? In this case, what's the business model? Just from sponsors? Or is it to get your data and sell that on and influence you to do stuff? All the above could be true. And unfortunately, we're not in a position where we're able to be able to turn around and say that's definitely what it's going to be, because they're never going to tell us, because they're not really telling each other. And I'm sure the conversation that Elon Musk and Sam Altman had in the early days of putting together ChatGPT is closer to the agenda on many places around the world where we're bringing new stuff out. Should we care? Should we be bothered about it? Maybe, but I don't think we can affect it. I think we just have to work out what that means to us. And I think that's an important way to be able to move forward with it. That's my spin on it. Anyway, I'd love to know people's thoughts on it. Jeremy, I'd love to know your thoughts on what you're going to be doing. You say you want to make a bigger impact when it comes to your books and so on in 2025. For those in the room who are interested in writing a book, how difficult was it for you to be able to do that?
It wasn't pretty hard, actually. It came together a lot easier than what I thought. I cut your time down in half, at least in half. So it's like the time that you have for writing it, for example. AI could write it for you. However, if you want it to be authentic and you want it to actually sound right, you got to tell AI, what do you want in it, what context, what kind of meat and gravy you want in it, and the more richer you get it, the more valuable it'll become, especially if it's more accurate.
Yep, definitely. And I'm going to pivot slightly. I'm going to talk about this in terms of not necessarily AI. So what I want to do is shift on, because this session today is really about 2025. It's not really about how to just involve AI, and we're going down the track of just going down that route, which is always my fault. I know, because I'm so excited about the subject. But I think it's important to embrace what people have come along for as well, which is number 5 on the list, and you can see them in the comments section, is create a success routine. And that means establishing daily and weekly rituals that you do that just lead towards getting your goals to be a reality. So that might mean meditating. For me, it's going to mean starting to do my power walks again, which I did for about 4 months every morning. For about 45 minutes, I go for a speeded up walk as much as I possibly could. I unfortunately stopped doing it when I went to the UK because I was in a different country and didn't know where to walk, but I've got to get that going again. So meditation, mindfulness, And also, I've decided, and it's against everything that people would say to do, I've decided to really up my friendship list, my connection, and my influence. So I've started doing TikTok videos against my better nature, and I'm finding that the algorithm turns around and it rewards you to do it on a regular basis and get feedback. So I'm going to be doing a lot more of that, even though I hate doing it, because I think in order to have the end result, which is to be able to help more people, you've got to play the game that it's asking you to do. But I can't do it for fun. I've got to do it with an agenda and build it into my regular thoughts. And so I'll be setting alarms on my phone to say TikTok or social, to force myself to have to put something together. And I'll be doing a lot to do it on a weekend to make sure that I've got relevant content. But that's my own personal goal. Not everybody has to see that. Not everybody has to do it. But I do think you need to have a ritual and a purpose. Otherwise, you fall into life. And everybody who's talking to you normally will demand your time and your energy. And before you know it, it gets to the end of a year. In a year's time, you've not done anything you wanted to because everything caught up with you. I'd love to know your thoughts on that. I know we've got a comment which I'm going to read out now, which is from Sadiq. And he's saying, one small question about AI. Dragging us back in, Sadiq. Thank you so much for letting us escape. I have to analyze the satellite imagery of Earth's soil as to how much nutrients in that soil and what we need to add to increase the crop production, how we can leverage AI to get the proper analysis of this soil management. My answer for you, Sadiq, is I have no idea. I am not an expert on that, but AI is. So put that into your AI and give you answers for it. I didn't know about soil. In my garden, I think we've got astroturf in the back garden and a couple of trees that poke through it. So I don't have a simple answer to that, but I mean, here's a ridiculous thing, a completely ridiculous thing. Let's have a little experiment to just answer that question. I'm going to open up our AI once and for all, which is Max. Max, I've got a question for you about AI. A friend of mine, Sadiq, has to analyze the satellite imagery of Earth's soil to see how much nutrients in that soil and what he needs to do to add to increase the crop production. How can we leverage AI to get the proper analysis of this soil management? Could you suggest a strategy to us?
Certainly. AI can significantly enhance soil analysis and nutrient management. Using AI for satellite imagery analysis allows for precise monitoring of soil health. Here's a strategy. Start by using AI models to process satellite data and identify nutrient levels. Then, utilize machine learning algorithms to predict areas needing specific nutrients. Finally, create customized recommendations for nutrient application, optimizing crop yield. This approach not only improves accuracy, but also boosts sustainability and efficiency in agriculture.
That's fascinating. Thank you, Max. Question, you know what I'm working on for 2025. Do I need to have paid attention to anything that you just said in the last minute or so?
It's always good to stay informed, but you might not need to dive deeply into soil management unless it's directly relevant to your goals. The key takeaway is the potential of AI to optimize processes. If that aligns with any of your projects, it's worth exploring further. Otherwise, you can focus on the areas most relevant to your plans.
So that was a no.
Yes, you can skip it if it doesn't align with your current focus.
Thank you, Max. Look, Max isn't big on a sense of humor. I could add some, but because I use this for other things, I don't really tend to worry about it too much. Here's the thing, Sadiq. You really could have worked it out on your own. I asked the computer there, it gave me an answer, and it went in one ear and out the other ear. If somebody says to me, Dave, what was the answer to that? I would go, I've got no clue what it actually said to me, but I'm sure it did for you. But you could have worked it out yourself. And that's why it's so important to be able to create one that works for you. And here's mine, which is aligned to the things that I'm interested in, which is public speaking and branding and growing your company and getting more money into your business and all the rest of it. That's what it's trained to do for me. And it knows nothing about soil management from my point of view, but it does when somebody asks. So I can implement it when I'm working with clients. In fact, with the clients that are going to be working with me, if you're interested in working with me in 2025, I've got a special package, which is a bundle to be able to grow your business. And I'm also going to help you to set up your own version of Max. So if that's of interest to you, then buy the bundle and we'll work together in January 2020. I may be going to Davos, so I have to fit it in around that. Watch this space and we'll find out.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Abe Corris. I am really inviting you to read a book that I was exposed to and introduced to recently, a book by my friend Dave Crane, The Thought Leaders Playbook, Your 9-Step Roadmap to Outstanding Leadership. I went through the book, I read its chapters, I read the gem that and insights provided in this book. Please do read it, review it, order it, do whatever you need to do to get your hands on this book and what it has to offer. I highly endorse it. I highly recommend it, and I hope you benefit from it. It has value, and I am very much endorsing this book.
Get your copy of the Thought Leaders Playbook right now. So, a couple of questions there. I'm going to move on. Next time you send me a question, Google yourself first. I have no idea what the answer was, but I kind of knocked it out the park. Well, Max did. I haven't got a clue what it meant anyway. If you just joined us, nice to see you, by the way. Aziza.
Dave, it's no longer Google it. It's called ChatGPT it.
Yeah, and Google hate that. And Google have got their own version of it. And there's lots of other, this is all going to get added to Meta, for Facebook and everything. I think one of the interesting ones to look at is perplexity.ai, which is a brilliant one, which allows you to ask questions and it gives you lots of different options and links and answers. It kind of does what Google used to do, but Google was obsessed with SEO. So if you paid more and did more SEO, then your stuff, even if it's rubbish, would show up for other people's searches. Perplexity.ai, if it's still there in the next couple of months or year, because I'm not sure if the business model works well. I know that it had a 1.6 or 1.4 billion dollars thrown into it by Jeff Bezos from Amazon, but I think that having problems getting sponsors on board because the other guys are just basically squeezing them out of the market. Well, it's still there. It's worth playing with it. And what I would do with perplexity.ai is I'd put your name in and see what it says about you, and see if somebody else is showing up instead of you when you put in your name. Be fascinating to see what you need to do to adjust your brand in 2025. So that's a kind of an insight, and hopefully it scared everybody at the same time. And Chris says Julius AI is my favorite. Chris, tell us about Julius. We're trying to get away from AI, and it's all we're talking about, but we're on it. So, Chris, what's Julius then?
Sure. I'll get into Julius real quick. It's a combination of multiple AIs. It's got a couple of the different chat GBTs. It's got Claude's 3.5 Anthropic's Claude 3.5 Sonnet, and it's got Cohere all in one. And I use it to switch back and forth seamlessly between all three, or actually all 4 or 5 models that are in there. And it's amazing with producing data analytics, graphical chart outputs, really help me make quick work of putting together a business plan. So it's tremendously efficient. I would just take a look and play around with it. It's a little more expensive compared to some of the other ones. It's like for the pro editions, like $60 a month, but it's worth it.
I'll definitely look at that. That sounds fascinating because I stick with ChatGPT because I understand what's going on. There are much better models, like for instance, you.com, you.com is excellent. It's got a load of different things on it, but I feel that I will lose the relationship that I have with the understanding that I've got with the original if I go on there, which is on you.com as well. And so for me, I've been holding back to what I'm actually paying for, but that's because I'm old and I don't really like to throw stuff out there in case I lose what I've already got. It's conservatism at its most pathetic, I guess. So going back to list number 6, surround yourself with the right people is a big strategy for 2025, which means grow a network of mentors, peers, and supporters who inspire and challenge you to be better. And I'm not sure actually if Aziz has put it into the comment section. I'd love it to do it. Can you put in our turbo connection, which is our WhatsApp group. Everyone's invited to
Yeah,
be
I've
part
done
of
that.
It's already there, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So everyone's invited to join our WhatsApp group. I currently have a list of about 82 people waiting to join. And so if you have a WhatsApp which doesn't have your identity on, or a profile picture, or a real name, then you're going to join that list of 82 people. I will only let people in who are people, and I'm definitely not a bot or a chat bot or something that's going to spam everybody, because I really believe in human interaction, and I want to make sure that I protect everybody in the group to make sure of that. So if you do join our group, and I'll let you in because we're working on some exciting stuff right now, then make sure that you have got a profile picture and you are identified there. Otherwise, I wouldn't know. Okay, so there we go. So going back to that, making sure you're surrounded by the right people is super important. I think that we need to be able to do more of that, because that kind of goes against where we are at the moment, which is to jump more into AI and jump more into the things that we're enjoying, which is social media and so on. I mean, one of the things that I found fascinating about it is conventional movies, conventional TV, and conventional radio are dying. They may not be around in 2 years' time because social media, YouTube, podcasts, live streaming, Netflix, business models, they are the norm. And so it's changed quite considerably. There's something you might want to have a look at as well. I'm going to be broadcasting, I think it's on the 2nd of January. I was on a TV show called Blind Date about 30 years ago. It's like the